Yeah, I think.
All set, man. Good morning, and welcome to the Crawford County Commissioners' Work Session for December 6, 2023. Stephanie, if you'd like to introduce your guest for us today.
Good morning. Today we have visiting us from Cochranton High School, Parker Hahn, and he is contemplating going into the finance career field. So he's going to spend the day with us and learn a little bit about what is involved with everything we do on a daily basis. So,
And Parker, just because I know that Commissioner Soft would like to hear us again, what school you're contemplating going to?
Penn State.
Oh, okay, I just want to check, make sure. Okay. Welcome, Parker.
There are other schools?
No, just that one. Welcome, Parker. All right, we're going to start with the Crawford County Federal Library System. Jess, there we are.
Morning, Jess.
Good morning. So I'm bringing to you the county library representatives for the CCFLS Board of Directors. These terms will start on January 1st, 2024, and they are as listed. They're broken into 3 sections, so 3 that end in 2024, 3 that end in 2025, and 3 that end in 2026.
Any questions for Jess? Francis, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I thought that was a joke. I didn't know he was there.
Yeah, he's
that
he's on my phone.
should probably note that Francis is participating by
That's
phone.
funny.
Jess didn't see you, Francis, so now she knows why you're. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Before we go further, should we add the budget? Should we?
Yeah, let's
consensus?
go ahead and do that. I need a consensus to add the preliminary budget to the agenda for today.
I'm okay with it.
Francis, you okay
I'm
with
good
it?
with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Conservation District?
Morning, Brian.
Here for 2 requests. First is a request for reappointment of George Gregg as Farmer Director and Amber Howell as Urban Director to the Crawford County Conservation District Board, be effective January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2027 for a 4-year term. The second request is for the reappointment of John Totten as Member at Large, Richard Ferguson as local contractor, and Robert Hopkins as chair to the Crawford County Agricultural Land Preservation Board. This would also be effective January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2026 for a 3-year term.
Any questions for Ryan?
No, sir.
I just have a question. Can we appoint the chairman of that group? I mean, I realize we appoint members, but can we appoint Bob as the chairman, or is that an internal appointment within that body? Maybe we can figure that out by next week. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
JPO?
Morning,
Morning.
Holly.
I'm here to request the approval of Amendment 2 for the electronic monitoring service agreement between the Commonwealth of PA, DGS Co-Stars, BI Incorporated, and the Crawford County Juvenile Probation Department. This is the renewal of the master agreement to be extended from now until December 7th of 2024 for the electronic monitoring program, and there's no changes to the agreement.
Any questions for Holly? Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
The correctional facility?
Jack.
So we're looking to get approval for payment of $36,225 for the purchase of 25 food pass restraint apertures, also known as wickets, and locking devices, to be purchased through Craftmaster Hardware, purchase to be funded with the PCOMP grant. Secondly, they're looking to get the approval for the installation of the 25 wickets and locking devices to be installed by Rademacher Industrial Incorporated. Installation also be funded through PCOMP grant.
For purpose of planning, is that how many more would you need after you think?
That's it.
That's it? Oh, great. Excellent. Okay. Any questions, Francis?
No questions.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jack.
District Attorney? Gina's going to do that?
Okay, the district attorney is requesting actually approval rather than ratifying for the payment for continuing legal education for Paula DiGiacomo in the total of $1,459.45. This is budgeted for 24.
Okay. Any questions? Public safety? Morning, Greg.
Good morning.
Morning, Greg.
We're asking for your approval to receive a grant from PEMA in the amount of $90,430.50 from the statewide interconnectivity fund for our next generation 911 GIS purposes and our post-migration legacy phone services.
Okay.
And we're also asking to approve payment of $1,950 to Cernica Engineering for the report from the core boring at the Sugar Lake Power Plant.
Any questions for Greg? Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Sheriff Powers? Morning,
Morning,
Dave.
I'm here to ask that we could approve a purchase to replace our laptop computer with a Dell Latitude 3440 through IT for $952.48.
Any questions for Dave? Thank you, Dave. Planning, Samantha? Good morning.
Morning, Sam.
Kind of going to get comfortable here.
Yeah.
See a few things. So we're going to start with a request for approval to pay an application for payment from Horizon Construction Group. The total amount is $183,265.20. This is for work at Titusville's Ed Meyer Complex. This is divided into, or being paid out of, 3 separate CDBG contract years, as you can see here. Fiscal year 2020, fiscal year 2021, and fiscal year 2022.
Okay.
We request approval to pay an invoice from HRG for a total of $22,720 for October 2023's engineering services for ARC Power Grant trail development. Non-budgeted item, it's paid for out of the ARC Power Grant.
Okay.
Approval to pay invoices for October and November of 2023 in a total amount of $5,800 for engineering services for the Conneautville Washington Street Stormwater Management Improvement Project. Non-budgeted item, paid for out of the county's fiscal year 2020 CDBG.
Okay.
Approval to pay a reimbursement in the amount of $6,305.01 to Wayne Township for the Rind Road Culvert Replacement Project. It's a 2023 Act 13 project, paid for out of the Act 13 Atlas Bridge grant.
Okay.
Approval to pay a reimbursement in the amount of $3,637.73 to West Mead Township for Oak Grove Park improvements. This is a non-budgeted item paid for out of 2023 Act 13 grant.
Okay.
Request approval to pay to reimburse in the amount of $10,405.15 to Crawford County Historical Society for the Baldwin Reynolds House Historic Garden and Public Recreation Project. It's a non-budgeted item, paid for, again, out of Act 13, Environmental Initiative grants.
Okay.
Request the Board of Commissioners accept the 2023 annual report submitted by the Crawford County Planning Agency.
Okay.
Request approval of a proclamation acknowledging Scott Scholander's dedication and service to the Crawford County Planning Commission.
Okay.
Request approval of a contract amendment with Michael Baker International for additional services associated with the comprehensive plan project at a not-to-exceed figure of $18,672. The funding to cover this amendment is covered through a budget reallocation and grant funds.
Okay.
Approval to pay invoice number 5 from Michael Baker International in the amount of $16,503.37 for contracted services for October 2023 for the 2024 Crawford County Comprehensive Plan. Paid for out of our state facilities transition closure program and out of the general fund.
Okay.
Request approval through 3 separate resolutions for the appointment of 3 individuals to fill vacated seats to the Crawford County Planning Commission. Becky Dawson for the City of Meadville, a term that would expire on December 31st, 2026. Ron Maddox of Cambridge Springs, a term to expire December 31st of 2027. And Stephanie Thawer of Venango Township, a term to expire December 31st of 2027.
Okay.
And we request to ratify an agreement between Crawford County and Conneautville Borough for Act 13 Environmental Initiative funds. This is a blight clearance project on 2 adjacent parcels in the borough for an amount up to $32,000 or the total project cost, whichever comes in lesser.
Okay. Any questions for Sam?
No?
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
County maintenance.
Morning, Mark.
Mark.
Asking to ratify approval to pay invoices for the courthouse remodeling project, the new GIS office for $2,531.75, Home Depot for $209.51, and Meadville Ace Contractor Center for $2,322.24.
Okay.
Asking to ratify approval to pay invoices for the remodeling project, the HVAC project, to Tower Engineering for $2,626.
Okay.
Asking to ratify approval to pay invoices for the remodeling project, the HVAC project, to Foreman Group for commissioning services for $10,000.
Okay.
Asking approval to pay the Eads Group, this is for engineering services on the parking deck rehab for $13,964.40.
Okay.
Just a sec. It's the page. There we go. Asking approval to pay Brian Noah, project manager, for professional services from November 1st, 2023 to November 30th, 2023 for $1,813.50.
Okay.
Ask approval to pay Perry Construction for a coil unit and valve for the courthouse assembly room air handler for $4,535. Ask approval to pay the Meadville Tribune. This is to advertise to accept bids for the construction on the back wall of the courthouse for $397.
Okay.
Asking approval to pay Powell Sanitation and Construction. They excavated, they repaired and cambered a storm drain line here at the courthouse for $5,495.
Okay.
Asking approval to pay the Wilkins Company to replace a defective fire alarm pole station here at the courthouse for $625.
Okay.
And asking approval to pay Stantec Architecture for engineering services on the Youth Show Arena roof project at the fairgrounds for $953.63.
Okay. Any questions from Mark? Thank you.
Find out what that was.
Human services.
Good morning.
Morning, Sue.
Requesting ratification of the Act 148 report for the first quarter of fiscal year 23-24. The total was $2,232,451. The cost to the county was $492,356. Requesting approval of the memorandum of understanding between Crawford County Human Services and Joseph Barnhart for August 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025. Through this agreement, Mr. Barnhart will be the coordinator for our 2 crisis grants. The total cost will be a maximum of $113,669 with no cost to the county. Requesting approval of the grant modification to the PCCD grant for the Children's Interview Center. This modification is requesting an extension to the grant year to April 30th, 2024. This extension will allow for the funds to be fully utilized. We have requested $47,000 through this grant. The requested funding amount is fully state funded with no county match. Requesting approval of the purchase requisition to CHAPS for reimbursement for the food provided for the luncheon on 10/12/23 during the crisis intervention team training. The total cost was $170. There was no cost to the county. Requesting approval of the purchase requisition to Whitmoyer Ford for the purchase of 2 2023 Ford Escapes. The total cost was $59,710. The cost to the county was $3,187.85. Requesting approval of the out-of-state travel request for Heather Gerard and Samantha Kircher due to an emergency placement of a child in Youngstown, Ohio on 10/2/23. The total cost for meals was $45. The cost to the county was $9.72. Requesting approval of the out-of-state travel request for Jill Fennessy during a consumer monitoring visit in Dayton, Ohio on 9/25/23. The total cost of meals was $17.50. The cost to the county was 93 cents. Requesting approval of the out-of-state travel request for Molly McElhaney during a consumer monitoring visit in Dayton, Ohio on 9/25/23. The total cost of meals was $17.50. The cost to the county was 93 cents. requesting approval of the C2 amendment to the 2022 calendar year contract with the Center for Family Services for ERAP 2. The original contract for ERAP 2 funding was for calendar year 2022 and totaled $4,690,704.59. A C1 amendment was done at the end of calendar year 2022 to extend the contract end date from December 31st, 2022 to December 31st, 2023. This C2 amendment is further extending the contract end date from December 31st, 2023 to December 31st, 2024, as all of the funding has not yet been spent, and ERAP 2 is allowed to be utilized through 2025, although the exact date is not yet available. The amount of funding remains the same. There's no cost to the county. Requesting approval of the fiscal year 23-24 CYSJP contract with Family Services of Northwest Pennsylvania for kinship care, family preservation, family behavioral therapy, intensive family, brief services, multisystemic therapy, home studies, updates for interstate compact cases, and functional family therapy. Requesting approval of the C2 amendment to the fiscal year 23-24 MHIDEI contract with the Achievement Center of LECOM Health for family-based mental health services. This amendment is increasing the total contract maximum for family-based from $14,844 to $22,000. They pulled down all of the funding due to two consumers, one whose MA expired and was not renewed, and the other who had private insurance, which complicated the MA authorization process. The increase is needed to cover the remainder of the fiscal year. The cost to the county for the additional $7,156 of funding is $382.05.
Any questions for Sue? Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
Human Resources?
Morning, Brittany.
Morning, Brittany.
I'm requesting to approve the ride waiver addendum to the Crawford County Motor Vehicle Use Policy.
Okay. Any questions for Brittany?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Finance?
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Stephanie.
For your approval, I have invoices totaling $116,674. The first is to Remedy Analytics. It's the Q3 pharmacy savings, invoice number 142-96604, in the amount of $26,338. That comes from insurance premiums. The second is to Community Health Services. It's the October 23-24 trip reimbursement. Invoice number is 169 in the amount of $90,336. That comes out of the Human Services Department. For your ratification, I have invoices totaling $706,358.40. The first is to PA County's Health Insurance. It's the December 2023 health insurance premium, invoice number 151499-0, in the amount of $706,358.40. That comes from insurance premiums. And I would like to present to you the preliminary 2024 Crawford County budget. As it currently stands, we have total revenues in the general fund of $35,485,754. Total expenses of $36,820,932. This presents us currently with a deficit of $1,335,178. This budget will be on display for the next 20 days. Locations will be at the courthouse in the Commissioner's office and in the Finance office, also at Meadville Public Library as well as Titusville Public Library. During the next 20 days, the Finance office will be actively working to bring the budget into balance. The goal is for there to be no tax increase at all for 2024.
Okay. Any other questions for Stephanie? Thank you for getting it where it's at. Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Commissioners?
Okay, the first item is requesting approval of the contract with the Zerbini Family Circus for 20 shows at the 2024 Crawford County Fair at a total cost of $24,500.
Okay.
Next item is requesting ratification of the estoppel and security agreement between Crawford County, Crawford Care Center OpCo LLC and eCapital Healthcare Corporation. Next item is requesting early closure at noon of the courthouse on December 22nd for the Christmas holiday. And then I have some notifications. And the first one is an Act 14 notification from Frank B. Taylor Engineering for an NPDES general permit for discharges from small flow treatment facilities and new water quality management general permit at Bacchus facility in West Shenango Township. An Act 14 notification from Gannett Fleming for water quality permit for emergency force main replacement at Bank and Allen Pump Station in the city of Titusville. Act 14 notification from Arm Group LLC for NPDES permit for discharge of stormwater associated with construction activities, and Chapter 105 general permit, excuse me, authorizing activities in wetlands, waterways, and water courses at the Franklin Solar Site in Athens Township. An Act 14 notification from Team Ag Incorporated for NPDES permit for concentrated animal feeding operation at Hillendale Atlantic in East Fallowfield Township. And a permit application filing notification from Dyson Helmy for waste transfer station permit to receive and temporarily store waste before disposal at another facility at the former Raccoon Refuse Site in Sparta Township.
Oh, that's what we were talking about. That's the same company we're talking about. The one to use Raccoon Refuse. Okay. Any other questions, Regina? The next full session will be December 13th. The next work session, December 20th. We are closed on Christmas Day, December 25th, and the day after, December 26th. Any public comment? Commissioner comments. Commissioner Wiederspan.
I have nothing today, sir.
Commissioner Saw.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Okay, we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thanks.